This is Anthony Boyle with CCAT Pest Management out of Burlington, Iowa, and you're listening to the best podcast in the industry, the Pest Geek Podcast with Frank Hernandez.
We're going to be discussing following up all on this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast.
Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek Podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek Podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. I am your host, Frank Hernandez, here every day discussing all things pest. And today we're going to be discussing following up, when to follow up, how to follow up. We're going to be discussing all that. But before, I want to remind everybody to join the society. That's right, the Pest Geek Society. We're on Facebook group, Pest Geek Podcast Listeners Group. Look us up. Also, on the web, pestgeekpodcast.com. And we also got a Facebook page. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn. We're everywhere. And now to our main topic, following up. Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Frank. This is Jeff McGovern, the Pest Coach. And I want to respond to some of the things I've been seeing on Facebook and some of the other sites out there regarding follow-up after an initial service. When you go in the first time to visit with a client, of course, you're going to put your best foot forward. That's what we all should be doing. But with regards to follow-up, one of the most common things I'm seeing is we're going to follow up in 2 weeks. For any type of work that you're doing, frankly, that is far too long to let the customer settle without a face-to-face visit from you and a follow-up. In fact, for some things, you probably need to follow up the next day, because what you're really doing here is building a relationship with the client. And if I look at some of the commercial accounts I've dealt with, over the last few decades, the ones that are kept are the ones where follow-up occurs quickly. For sake of example, let's say you've done that great big roach clean-out for somebody. And come on now, you're following up in the footsteps of somebody else that's failed. We all know that. So with regards to the follow-up, do your initial work, but your initial work should include a follow-up within 7 days. And the reason I say that, people's lives are very, very busy. So if you visit with them on a Monday night or any time on Monday and do the work, you want to follow up with them before Monday occurs again. That's showing courtesy and concern for the client, and frankly, is going to make you a lot better pest control operator, because it all boils down to partnership. And if you're showing concern for people, they're going to form a partnership with you, and the work is going to get done in a far more effective manner. And no pest control operator can do anything unless they get cooperation from the client. And that quick return follow-up will help get it there. Because you're not going to just march out of there after having applied some type of materials. You're also leaving instructions, and you want to make sure those things are being done, and if the client requires any additional guidance. This is also a reason you need to have on hand the names of people that can help you with that work. For example, if trees need to be trimmed off the building, you probably ought to have a relationship with a tree trimming company long before you hit the door of that client, so that you can be the one bringing solutions to that job site. That's how it's done. The same thing goes along with cleanings or maintenance or repairs or anything else. Have some ideas for the client. They have a job and they're very, very good at it, but they may be just as bad at repairing something as they are very, very good at preparing food in the case of a restaurant. So follow up quickly, bring solutions to the client, and form that partnership. A number of years ago, on the side of one of the very first national account firms that I ever worked for, it said partnership for protection. That makes just as much sense today as it did back in the mid-1970s. And frankly, for you smaller operators out there, this is the key toward taking work away from the large national firms, where occasionally we know we get rotating technicians. But you folks that are out there as owner-operators and members of smaller companies, you are the craftsmen in this industry for the most part. I'm not saying that there's not some serious talent behind the wheel of the national companies. But if you're a local operator, you can appear to be the most professional operator in your community with fast follow-up, bringing partnerships into the arrangement, and getting things done far more effectively. So this is just a quick piece from the Pest Coach about how to keep those clients happy, how to form the partnerships, and how to move forward quickly. Quick follow-up, bringing other folks into the fray, and getting that client taken care of. Until next time, this is Jeff McGovern, the Pest Coach, and Frank, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Pest Geek Podcast. Until tomorrow, have a pestacular day.
Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.